Welcome back to the Pot of Greed.
Welcome back indeed. Hopefully you guys have been having a good week. We certainly have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Announcements for a change. It doesn't happen every week.
Cards.
There's not a ban list, by the way.
Oh, wow.
But there's a lot of other things.
Hey, at this point, maybe Snake Eyes forever.
Don't get it.
Maybe that is just the format.
Yeah, it's just the end. There's no more.
I can't wait for Worlds.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys are having a good time.
Oh, wait, we can't go.
If you are, what?
It's not open to the public.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We can watch. I was like, what? We can't go. Oh, wait, we can't go. Okay, well, anyways, hopefully you guys are enjoying your week. Yeah, man, that really is true. We just can't go.
Even though it's in the States.
Yeah. Well, anyways, if you're watching the premiere, please leave us a 1 if you too are excited to not be able to attend Worlds this year, even if you live in the United States.
Ooh, we should just go and boycott.
Or just go and stand right outside the door.
And we're going to boycott by all sitting down on the ground, circling the building, playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, I wonder what would happen. That'd be funny. We'd probably get sent away.
Catastrophic if they broke out the water cannons.
Yeah. Anyway, though. Yeah, so we've got a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! News and also a review to kick us off. This one comes from Sympha Ninja. They say, extremely underrated. I'm an older Gen Z / younger millennial and recently got back into my childhood obsession. I guess so. Childhood obsession of the TCG, except now with adult money. My first episode was episode 47, but I've been backtracking. Oh, the podcast, talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! For a second.
Wait, have there been 47 episodes of this pod?
Well, I think this week's like 49, so... Yeah, but I've been backtracking to previous episodes, something I usually never do. Listening to this podcast has been really informative yet relaxing. I learn a lot about Yu-Gi-Oh! Each week, but I ultimately enjoy every segment. I can't help but feel like I'm hanging out with a bunch of friends talking about interests, Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games, technology, and more. Alec and Paul are extremely respectable hosts. I feel like you two offer very honest takes in a respectful manner. I consider you two to be positive representatives, I'm dying today, of content creators, especially in this card game and content creator space. And I'm proud to watch
role models
and listen to it. Thanks for getting me through my day, guys. That was very heartfelt. I feel moved by that. I don't know.
Every day I will strive to be the person that they wrote about in that review.
Alex like, yeah, because normally I'm not.
I'm a menace.
Yeah. No, but I thank you. I do appreciate that a lot. That is my age, older Gen Z, younger millennial.
Yep.
Sort of.
I'm just a young millennial holding it down.
Yeah. We appreciate it, of course, if you guys are listening to the podcast anywhere.
Oh, I prefer to think about it as I'm clearing the way for Gen Z.
Yeah. Clearing the muck out of the, out of the pipes or whatever.
Got to get the boomers out the way.
Yeah. But if you guys are listening to the podcast on any platform in particular, certainly leave us a positive review. A good rating helps as well. Or if you're just on YouTube, a thumbs up, a like, that's good enough.
We don't have as many metrics for leaving reviews.
And we do like to read the reviews on the podcast. So thank you again to Sympha Ninja. And now, before we get into the Yu-Gi-Oh! News, I do have a quick announcement. I'm going to be doing a Whatnot live stream this weekend for Whatnot Con. It's a big event that they're doing. And I've been told that instead of telling you about it on the podcast, I am to play a pre-roll sort of ad thing here. So I'm just going to insert this awkwardly. It's going to last about a minute and a half, and then we'll just magically be back.
That's crazy.
Now, if you're listening to this, I won't be putting any of that in.
Oh, okay.
But it's only for like the YouTube people.
Oh, all right. I was so confused what was happening.
All right, roll the tape. So real quick, guys, I want to give a shout out to Whatnot for sponsoring this video. This weekend, they're going to be hosting Whatnot Con, which is a way for you guys to experience the fun of a convention like New York Comic Con, but from the comfort of your home using the Whatnot app, where you can auction for all kinds of really fun, interesting collectibles, Yu-Gi-Oh!, trading cards, really anything. So they're going to have artists, celebrities, even people from studios like Marvel. And if you're interested in Yu-Gi-Oh!, I'll actually be auctioning off a bunch of really cool stuff like this giant Dark Magician figure, the Pot of Greed replica that we use in so many videos, plush rescue rabbits, and a few more secrets as well. So all you guys gotta do is tune in to my live stream on Whatnot, April 13th at 12 p.m. Central Time, and use the link in the description to sign up for Whatnot. You'll even get $10 of credit to use. So again, thanks to Whatnot for sponsoring this video. Make sure you check out WhatnotCon, and I'll see you guys this weekend. We're back. Okay.
Wow.
So,
that was crazy.
It's time to talk Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah?
Yeah, I'm ready.
That's some Yu-Gi-Oh! News. There's been a lot.
At least from the OCG. I don't know
a
about
lot of
TCG.
like OCG leaks and info. A few little TCG stories, and a few like sad, kind of depressing ones as well.
Ooh, wait, I don't know about the sad
you might not
ones.
know. Yeah, okay. Well, anyways. What do we start with? There's been a lot of reveals. I guess let's start like TCG side.
Okay.
So the Legacy of Destruction reveals have been coming out. I don't know if you've like sort of seen some of that.
Yes,
but they have been revealing like some of the cards that are. People upstairs are crazy. They've been revealing some of the cards that are in Legacy of Destruction, like rarities and things, a few of the imports and TCG exclusives. I'm actually trying to pull up Yu-Gi-Oh! News TCG because I feel that they, as always, do a better job of aggregating all this information.
All I know is they haven't shown us the new Ashen cards yet. And
they have.
Wait, they have?
Yeah, those got revealed as well, just some hours back.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
Yeah, so first and foremost, Legacy of Destruction TCG rarities. We know that Ancient Gear Dark Golem is going to be a super rare.
That's about what I expect.
Metaltronus, which is...
What is Metaltronus?
It's like this one, it's a quick play spell. I remember reading it. It's like target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and you summon a monster from your deck or extra deck that has 2 or more of the same type attribute or attack that monster has, but it's effect negated.
Okay.
It's like a cool thing. It's a super rare.
I don't know what that means. What's the artwork look like?
It's got Metaltron.
Okay, the Metaltron spell.
Yeah, it's
okay,
got Metaltron on it.
All right. That's how I remember cards, Paul. Not effects, artwork.
New Lightsworn Synchro is an ultra rare and also a quarter-century secret. Mirage Mirror Force, that's the kind of illusion-based Mirror Force card, is a super rare. Nightmare Throne is an ultra rare and a quarter century. That's the Yubel.
Oh yeah,
new Yubel field.
So you said ultra?
Yeah, ultra.
Okay, that's fair.
Sangenpai Transcendent Dragon, or Sendent. These Tenpai dragons.
Sendevistan. That's all I heard.
Yeah, the Sarcophagus of Light or Shining Sarcophagus.
Secret
is a secret.
Yeah,
and Future Silence? Figure Silence? I can't tell what this is. But the silent card that works with like the Sarcophagus of Light.
Don't be a secret.
Is a ultra rare.
Okay.
And quarter century secret.
Okay, as long as it's not a secret. All right.
And a secret? It says ultra/secret. I don't know what that means, but maybe they're doing something different.
Weird.
So also there are new like Vados Ashen cards.
So this is news to me.
Yeah, Vados, the Dragon of Endless Darkness. It's a new fusion monster.
Oh, this Vados and an Ashen monster, or 2 Ashen monsters?
It's Vados, the Eruption Dragon of Extinction, and 2+ level 9 or lower Pyro
2+.
monsters. There's a little quick picture of him.
That's a horrible picture, but I get it.
Yeah, can't be destroyed by card effects and can't be targeted with monster effects. And if it's fusion summoned, you can destroy all spell and traps your opponent controls. And then when they activate a card or effect in the field, you can send a face-up Ashen card you control to the graveyard to destroy that card that they activated. So it doesn't negate it, but it does destroy it.
I do like that we're no longer just swimming in negates.
Yeah, and then there's also Iza, the Dragonless of Deranged Devotion, which I think is like an import of some kind.
Oh, I thought that was another Ashen card. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, so there's a few cards. I'll have images up on the screen so you guys can kind of get a look at them.
How come we don't have a screen? I guess we do have screens.
Yeah, I mean, we have screens. It would be cool, I guess, if we had like a shared screen where we could both
where I could see what you're saying.
Look at. I might try to get something like that set up. But yeah, so some cool cards from Legacy of Destruction. I assume that the content creator openings will be going up probably here in the next few days.
Yeah,
maybe
this
today.
Weekend,
I don't know.
I would think for sure.
Yeah, I know Konami. They typically will do it like the Monday or so before sneak peek, so maybe it'll be a little bit longer. Neat cards. The rarities are all kind of about what you'd expect, right? Like if you want to play the Shining Sarcophagus deck, you're gonna have to get your 3.
I'm mad they made it a secret, but I had a feeling that Gold Sarcophagus would get a secret.
It's the central card, and if you want to play a Yu-Gi deck, you gotta be willing to shell out. It's anime. As for other things with Legacy Destruction, I mean, we haven't gotten a confirmation of this, but I assume that like the Diabelsis like, you know, the alternate witch,
Yeah.
the white kind of witch.
I'm assuming she's Ultra.
I feel like she's probably secret because Diabellstar was.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
And that might have been confirmed
secret.
already too. I'm not 100% sure.
No, that makes sense.
I know that we got to see like the naming conventions for a lot of these cards, like that archetype, the Reika.
Oh yeah, the Reika.
Or now like
Reika.
Ranka.
They're
or
called
Ran
what?
Ranka or something like Rangan Ranka.
They're called. They have. It's 2 words.
It's one word. It's like I need to find what it is.
Ranga Reika. I wonder why it sounds more complex than the initial translations.
Yeah, don't ask me. I mean, it just. The point is that they also got like some of the names basically got revealed.
I wonder if Konami ever takes into context when they make Ragnaraka. All one word.
All one word.
Yeah, I have to wonder.
Or Ragnaraka Blue.
Does Konami ever like read these like card names aloud and then read the effects aloud, having to acknowledge the fact that both players and judges will have to read these effects aloud multiple times? And like maybe we should go with simpler names.
No, because here's what's going to happen is that no one's going to call them Ragnaraka. They're going to call them like the next word. Like the spell card's like Ragnaraka Bloom, and like people are just going to call it Bloom.
I activate Bloom.
Chain Bloom or whatever. Or like Ragnaraka the Evil Seed, they're just going to call it Seed.
Seed effect.
So, I mean, in that way, it's kind of sad because it's like
but judges can't do that.
Names. I mean, they will. They will. So... Yeah, that's Legacy Destruction for you. Some more Vados cards, some more just, you know, imports.
So were there other Ashen cards or just one?
That's the only one that we've seen so far.
Okay. I get, but content creator reveals aren't out yet, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we'll get a fuller look very soon. Also, we do have some reveals from the OCG as well. We got reveals for cards that are going to be in, what is the Exodia set? The
Infinite Forbidden.
Infinite Forbidden.
It's a cool name. I don't know what it means, though.
Yeah, I saw the Whitewoods.
Yeah.
So you can tell us more about this because I feel like you've been looking a little more closely.
I don't have them pulled up, but I can talk about them, that's for sure.
Okay.
So the Whitewoods archetype is, and I can only talk about it from a thematic point of view. I don't remember their effects. They are a Diabellstar lore archetype.
Yeah.
They essentially tell the story of Diabellstar and Diabellzus, however you pronounce the other girl's name. Their origin story as children in the White Woods. You see that they lived in the White Woods with 2 other older witches, Rosella and was it Sylvina?
Yeah, Sylva or Sylv and Recia.
And there's a great fire and they all die, or at least the 2 older ones die. We know that Diabellstar and Diabellzus, they seemingly live, though that's called into question a bit because one is a spellcaster, one's an illusion, so some people think that the other girl died in the fire and that's why she's an illusion now. Because the little forms of Diabellstar and Diabellzus are both spellcasters. So they were both at one time spellcasters, but now in the present day, one's a spellcaster, one's an illusion. So some people think, oh, maybe she died. I wouldn't go quite that far, but I mean, we're working off card artworks. There's really no way to know.
Well, for those of you who are interested, I guess, in maybe the more gameplay components of them,
we don't care.
An archetype of light spellcasters, and they have some tuners and some synchros.
And illusions.
Yeah, and one of the synchros is an illusion monster, but the vast majority are spellcasters. It's a neat archetype. It kind of reminds me a bit of Witchcrafters because they kind of have effects where it's like, you know, discard a spell or trap to use this effect, and then the spell or traps reset themselves onto the field if they've been discarded for like those effects.
I thought you meant that the monsters don't really do anything.
Well, no, these monsters do actually have pretty useful effects. I think probably more practical than Witchcrafters were. A bit frustrating for me because I really did like Witchcrafters, but that just means I'll probably play this as well and give it a shot, see if it kind of feeds the itch, scratches the itch. And it's another lore archetype, and like nobody can hate those, right? Like people really like Diabellstar. I think that they're going to enjoy this next.
I wasn't finished talking about the lore.
Oh, go ahead.
So Sylvina and Rosella are also the sinful spoils that Diabellstar carries. One is a witch bat, and you can actually see that her clothing and attire is similar to Diabellstar's cape. And Sylvina is a wolf witch, and well, she has this whole like wolf claw and the wolf you've seen the trap card. So it seems that Diabellstar carries them with her into the present day. Is she trying to avenge them? I don't know, but she's gone into conflict with with the other witch, Diabellsis, who seemingly used to be her friend. We don't know what that's about.
Yeah, they've become enemies or maybe frenemies in the future.
But look, she tried to steal Poplar, and that's enough reason to.
Maybe she has a reason for it, like a reason to want to take Poplar.
Cross the line.
So, yeah, that is kind of a little synopsis on the White Woods witches. So there are also a few other cards that have been revealed in the Duelists of Brilliance set. That's the kind of light legendary duelist set. Yeah. We've gotten some new Tachyon Dragon support. So
I sleep.
Yeah, Galaxy Eyes Tachyon, if you guys are into that. It's gotten a few new cards. Something that I noticed in particular about these cards is that they are obviously very strong, efficient effects, but Tachyon Cloud Dragon, I just wanted to highlight, feels remarkably similar to Snake Eyes Poplar, because it's like a level 4 light dragon or whatever, but when it's added to your hand, you can special summon it.
Okay,
and then you contribute it to summon a Tachyon monster from deck or grave.
Oh, that's good.
And if you special summon a Dragon Xyz monster, you can target one of them and attach this to it as material from the graveyard or the hand.
Oh, that's good too.
And so it kind of made me think about how, like, Konami, I think, is probably... They tested the waters with Poplar, and now they're going to be applying that sort of, like, here's a neat extender that you can, like, just summon it as soon as it comes to your hand and then get value and then recur it, and, you know, so...
An extender, an enabler, and I don't even know what you call it, last
recursive
effect. Some type of,
So, I mean, Poplar is the
graveyard
same way.
thing.
Yeah, like it comes, like resets itself or something else. So it's kind of an interesting thing. As for, you know, the deck itself, I don't know loads about Galaxy Tachyon. I played the Galaxy deck a little bit years ago.
I remember. It
was pretty fun, although I found it a little bit bland. That's just to my personal taste, though.
Hey, they summon monsters and they overlay. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
The Draglubion has a new kind of retrain in this deck, so that's kind of neat.
I can barely pronounce its name.
Yeah, they got like a spell, I got a trap. I'll put the cards up on screen, but you guys can kind of go and like read them for yourself if you're more interested in the archetype. That's the first, I think, reveal of that light legendary duelist. Or no, the second one, because Trickstars were also revealed, and they got new support.
They are in there.
Yeah, okay. So now we have Trickstars, the Galaxy Tachyon, and I guess we're still maybe waiting to see what the third light
I'd assume there's one more archetype. Though I couldn't even guess what... There's so many different light like anime archetypes.
I would like it to be Cyber Dragon, but I have a feeling it'll just be something different. Don't know what.
So Tachyon's from Vrain. I mean, not Zexal.
Yeah.
And Trickstars are from Vrains. So GX is available.
Yeah, GX is available. There's nothing really from Duel Monsters that would be exclusively light.
Ooh, but GX also has Lightsworns, but we don't think Lightsworns
are getting their own support.
Hopefully,
right now,
they're going to be in their own set. So I think GX is a possibility.
Reminds me, speaking of Lightsworns, it was announced that they are reprinting the Realm of Light structure deck.
Yes,
this summer. So if you wanted to get some Lightsworn cards to use with the new ones that are going to be in Legacy of Destruction, which is a play on Light of Destruction, which is when the Lightsworn monsters were introduced to the game originally.
How could we forget?
Then, yeah, you can get a chance at, picking up some Lightsworns.
I'm guessing the reasoning here is Michael, because I don't think Michael was reprinted.
Michael...
The Synchro.
Yeah, and I think Raiden and Original Minerva...
Was Raiden
Raiden was in the Battles of Legend set. I think Original Minerva was not.
So you're right. Little Minerva.
Like Little Minerva, the main deck monster. So what do you think about them like reprinting these structure deck?
It tells me Konami has their finger on the throat of Yu-Gi-Oh players, and they know that a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players today were Lightsworn players in yesteryear.
Yeah.
And they also know Lightsworns have been out of print for a long time, and they don't want to give you any reasons not to buy in on the new support. They want us all in on Lightsworns.
Right, yeah.
Cool. I mean, for what it's worth, I was also a Lightsworn fan back in the day. I remember, Solar Recharge and Charge of Light Brigade, Judgment Dragon, Lumina,
Good
Lila.
stuff.
Just they were very powerful monsters at the time. It could be a really annoying deck to face, like on the other end of the table.
This rollout feels familiar. You know what it reminds me of, Paul?
What?
When we got new Yubel support. And Konami, through multiple sets, reprinted every relevant Yubel
No, I
card.
mean, they do that with pretty much any given. Like, whenever there's a new kind of structure deck or just a new major line of support for something that's, like, more than about 10 years old, they'll usually go back and, like, reprint everything, whether it's through a re-release like this, a Battles of Legend, or in some cases, they'll do it with like OTS packs.
It just feels so organized and deliberate, given that they're also resurrecting an old structure for this.
Yeah. And I don't think it's a bad thing for what it's worth. Like, I think that it would be more annoying to want to build Lightsworns and be missing an old card. Because, like, we know how that is in, what is the format? In Edison format, there's a lot of cards where it's just like, this just doesn't have a reprint. It just hasn't been printed since like 2013 or something, and you just kind of can't get Magical Android. I know that I hear about that a lot.
I feel like there's one person like at Konami who has like 16 copies, and they're waiting for their TCG player account to finally sell out before reprinting it.
Yeah, we'll reprint after that. A couple of other little quick reveals. So the OCG set Complete File The White Story. Did you hear about this?
Yep.
So actually, you told me about this, so maybe you'd be better off explaining it.
I don't have it in front of me, but it's an OCG product that contains every single card in the Albaz lore. How many cards was that? 200?
Yeah, 202 cards.
Yeah, 202 different cards, all foil. What, are they all quarter century or are they?
177 ultra rares.
177 ultra
20 quarter century secret rares. 4 quarter century secret rare reprints that have new illustrations.
And then one
new card, which is Dogmatic Calamity Alba System, which was revealed recently. It's a really powerful fusion monster with a bit of a win more effect.
But it's in that line of level 12 god cards. And not like in Egyptian god cards, but if you've been around the block, usually around the end of every lore story, we get some kind of monster. This huge thing.
He ironically is only level 8, but that's more for, I think, like synergy with certain other things. Oh, okay. But yeah, it still fits. I get what you mean. Like, it's that high level.
It's like what Sophia.
They all kind of get one. So that's cool. It comes with this really neat binder and pages.
I'm gonna have to pick that up. I can't read any Japanese.
You get an art book, 16 full color pages, an introduction to each group that appears in the story, never before seen illustrations, card reference artwork pictures, and other reference material.
The last file I remember was a pretty infamous one. It was the Number Hunter one that contained all of the numbers. Mm-hmm. Like, because I wasn't a big Zexal fan, I wasn't too keen on picking that up, but I do love me some Albaz lore, so I might have to find this one.
Yeah, so that's some cool stuff. We also got a few more Infinite Forbidden reveals. There's like the Pokey Draco retrain, Dora Draco.
Oh, I saw Dora Draco.
Yeah.
I don't know if Tenpai players will use it, though.
Probably not. I don't know. When it's normal summon, you get to add level 4 Lore Fire Dragon monster from your deck to your hand.
Yeah, that's good. I just don't know. I don't know enough about Tenpai. I just know that they're seemingly a simple archetype, but strong once you get them all together.
Yeah, I've heard some people complaining about this new trap card in this field spell that they've gotten. So there's a trap card that lets you, if all monsters you control are fire dragon monsters, your opponent controls more monsters than you, then you end the main phase. Woo! In addition to having a graveyard effect, but that's kind of been a little controversial because it's like, man, like we're ending the main phase? That's harsh, right?
No,
that said, though,
no, it's not. And let me tell you why. Because I've been complaining about card design direction for the longest, and y'all thought, oh, Alec is crazy. Y'all thought, oh, Alec is making too much of a big deal about all these intrusive effects. Well, now we're ending your main phase.
Yeah.
Soon we're going to go straight to your end phase.
So that's cool. So I need to actually go back and kind of read the Tenpai cards a little bit more.
It's weird. I remember when they were announced, I read them, and maybe it's just I'm just so behind on Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't recognize good cards anymore. But on the initial release, They just seemed really average, and that was a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, but apparently they're pretty good in the OCG. I need to...
Even before the new support.
Yeah, even before the new support, they were getting played, and now I guess there's even more fear of how powerful this is going to be. It's kind of an OTK deck. I guess it would want to go second, but it also could now go first and maybe set that trap and
there's
force you
something
into the
terrifying about a good OTK deck.
I mean, the thing about that is OTKs in general, I feel, have been... Like, every deck kind of OTKs, like, has the capability of doing so.
But it's usually, like...
Interesting now, though, to see, like, the battle phase be put at the forefront. Like, they are forcing you into the battle phase, forcing you to attack, getting multiple attacks, preventing you from using cards in the battle phase. Like, I like that design of being, like, the battle phase matters again in Yu-Gi-Oh!
I guess... It's weird because you're right. Every meta deck essentially can OTK you, but it's in this very particular way that we play Yu-Gi-Oh! That it happens. It's usually after 6 or 7 interactions where you and your opponent try and like stop each other from playing. But in Tenpai's case, they're like, nah, we just throw the gloves down. We want to go straight to the battle phase and get work out you. And that's actually kind of terrifying in a way.
Yeah, well, it sounds like the sort of deck that I will play. I don't mind anything that's less negation, more like aggression. And I've always liked going second decks, so I'll give it a crack if it's affordable enough.
I cannot get a read on you. 5 minutes ago, you were saying how you liked Witchcrafters, and now Tenpai.
Well, what both those decks have in common is that they do not have cards that negate things.
Witchcrafters have no negates?
I don't think so.
Not even them. Oh, you're right.
Yeah, they. I mean, that's the thing is, I just want to play decks that don't negate stuff. I don't mind going second and breaking a board. I don't mind playing like a back and forth control thing. I just do not want to like do a long combo in with like an Apollosa, Barone, and something else. You know, IP, whatever.
I had the perfect deck for you.
Negate stuff.
Snake Eye.
They do make those cards.
No, they can. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
Okay, here's another small, interesting bit of like OCG news. In the OCG, did you know that they can order card sleeves off of Yu-Gi-Oh! Neuron?
Yu-Gi-Oh! Neuron has a shop function?
Yeah, you can purchase card sleeves, in Japan at least. These are the sleeves. They've got a Melfi Staring Contest, Emerging Emergency, Rescue, and Blazing Cartesia the Virtuous. Sleeves that you can order off of your Neuron app if you live in an OCG
So that's
territory.
new, right?
Fairly new.
It's interesting.
But they say 3 new card sleeves will be available. I think that they've done these before, and this is just maybe another...
I wonder if it's based off a popularity contest, just because those archetypes are a little... And cards are a little bit older now.
Yeah.
I would have expected like some of the fresher archetypes. But maybe it's a popularity thing.
I'm just more jealous. Like, it's a kind of another one of those things where it's like, man, the OCG has it nice. Like, we can't order cards off Neuron.
Or anything, right?
Yeah.
I don't use Neuron, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, there is some Neuron news coming up, but I just thought that was kind of cool that they, like, I mean, imagine, a smartphone app, and you can just also order stuff from it. Because, like, if you think about it, Konami is typically very hands-off with, like, your ordering process as a consumer. Like, you go to your shop and buy the cards, and you go to like Walmart and buy the cards, but you don't really get it like straight direct from Konami unless it's like the pot collection or like the Kaiba briefcase.
Do you think it'll be priced worse or better if it was direct from Konami?
It should
be cheaper,
like
right?
cheaper because it's like, well, okay, they're not,
there's no middleman, there's no extra people
so
to pay.
They're sending it straight to you. Now, I don't know how many of these like things they make. Like if it's, we just allocate perhaps like 1,000 of them, and then once that's sold out, there's no more. Or if it's like
per order. Limited drops. Yikes, we need more of those.
So I'm not really sure. If anybody stays in Japan and they've maybe ordered these before, I would love to hear about that process because I don't know. Speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh! Neuron, there's also some news about that too.
Are they shutting down?
Well, actually, from July 2024, duelists will only be able to register using the ID as displayed in the Neuron app. Konami will be phasing out the Cossy ID system, or the Konami sort of game ID cards. The one that you let me use for that, like what to bring to a tournament video. yeah, the Cossy cards are getting phased out. Say goodbye to your KCGN card and make sure that you have the Neuron app on your phone. You're going to need this now to register for tournaments. Yeah, what do you think? Yes, no? You look like you have some doubts.
I mean, I'm old, so it's weird to see the Cossy ID system go because it's been the only system. So I'm kind of mixed on it because we've just had it for so long.
I remember getting my first Cossy ID.
You've had multiple?
Well, no, I've always had the same number, but like it was always like a sticker that you kind of put on the card. The card itself didn't really have the ID. It was just
that's true.
A
My card does have a sticker on it.
Now, one fun thing that they did do with Cossy cards was that at early on, at least in Worlds, at like Worlds events, and like I think at some Nats, you could get a like metallic, like kind of embossed version of your card.
Oh,
there's a kind of a limited time thing. Like it's kind of similar like the token booth.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really cool. So not that many players had them. And it was obviously still the same Cossy ID, just kind of a fun thing to keep in your wallet. But yeah, now it's like you don't need that anymore. You use Neuron. It makes me wonder though, I mean like there are a lot of players who don't know what Neuron is.
So yeah.
So they're gonna have to really like push hard to make Neuron like, you know, the mainstream Yu-Gi-Oh thing.
So I have a little experience in this.
Okay.
You know, Bandai, they have their Bandai TCG app. And that app is essentially their version of Neuron. There's no life point counting features, but it stores your information, your number, and you can load your deck lists onto it. And every Bandai tournament, every card game uses this system. Early in implementation, that system went horribly wrong multiple times, and I really hope Konami knows what they're in for when you switch from a very basic and accepted system,
basic like paper system to a digital
to
thing.
to a new digital system.
Here's why I don't think it'll be too bad, because it doesn't seem like they're actually changing like how the tournaments are run or anything. It's just that you sign up with the Neuron app, and that's really it. So my understanding, at least, is that there shouldn't really be any problems. Also worth noting that this came from Konami EU, so we don't.
We don't have to worry about that.
Well,
oh, thank God.
Who knows? So, dear duelists, we have a change to announce regarding official tournament registration. From July 2024, duelists will only be able to register using the ID as displayed in the Neuron smartphone app. By this date, we will phase out KCGN ID cards, or formerly Cossy cards. For those of you who have been using Neuron until now, you will have seen the continued improvements to tournament functionality, such as being able to submit your deck list for the tournaments you're competing in. In addition to this, we'll also add additional protection to your personal data. So, to register for future events, 1, make sure you have Neuron, and 2, make sure you've linked your account. So it's kind of linked to your Konami ID. And they give you some instructions on how to do so. Also, some tournaments may require you to be able to present the correct ID to claim entry, such as the World Championship qualifier, or award points, such as events that award world qualifying points. So, I like this change. I mean, I think that it's just kind of a good future-proofing, kind of making things a little bit more modern. But I still don't see why you have to actually get rid of your Konami ID. Like, you could still keep your card because it's based on the number, right? I don't know.
I don't know what the ID in Neuron looks like or what it says.
Okay.
It sounds like it's different.
It must be different.
But, I mean, and maybe this is fine for Europe. I worry about that in the States because I've been to quite a few Bandai events, and getting signups together and deck lists were submitted in a crowded event space where the Wi-Fi bandwidth has been stretched to its upper limit can be a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
And it's also the old people. And I've seen this many times at Bandai events where they just do not want to adopt to these new technologies.
There are going to be players who won't know.
And because there's a lot of people, and I'm not trying to take shots at them, but there's a lot of people who they don't really know how to use their phones.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there are people
they can play card games, but they don't know how their phones work.
Yeah, there are people too who just kind of don't, like, they just don't see the point. Like, well, I have my ID, so
Like, but the bright side here is Neuron's been around for a while now.
I will give Neuron credit for being a generally very functional app. Like they have added a lot of good features. Like there's a feature now where you can like look up card shops in your area.
It can play music.
Like there's a lot of neat things. And apparently if you're in Japan, you can buy sleeves.
Like I just know it can play music. That's my favorite use of it.
Speaking of things you can only get in Japan, see how I'm doing these segues this podcast?
Yeah, he's in rare form, kudos.
So there's the KC store Sukajan. It's a Kaiba Corp pop-up store in Japan. It's currently in Akihabara.
My favorite place on earth.
And so they recently expanded their merchandise lineup, introducing the No Punk Ogre Dance Sukajan, a stylish blouse jacket. Drawing inspiration from traditional baseball jackets, this item masterfully combines embroidery and silk with distinct Japanese cultural influences.
What's a blouse jacket?
This.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's literally like a baseball jacket.
Yeah. So this is cool. You can get this at this pop-up store until the 15th of April. So just fly out to Japan tomorrow, Alec, and grab them.
Oh no, that's tax day.
Yeah. So if any of you guys are in Japan. Like, you listeners are in Japan for whatever reason, you want to, like, maybe get me one. Anywho. Yeah, so it's really cool looking. I wish that we could have a KC store pop up in America, even just once. Like, put it at Nats or something. I know,
we can't have never. Nice things.
Konami's, they'll never. But imagine if, like, if that was the thing. I think that Yu-Gi-Oh players would enjoy that. So
I think in a weird way, I actually kind of like the pop-up stores just being in Japan. It lets them maintain something cool that's what you can see when you visit Japan. If they're happening everywhere, it's one nice thing that this is not unique anymore.
I disagree because I think that like it's a pop-up shop. So they could bring that here and have it also just be for like a weekend at an event, and it still is very exclusive. It's just that like I think they leave us out of so much stuff, and I don't know, players like want this stuff. Like it's like how long can you go on people just liking the cards? Like I think people want to get. You have thoughts?
Oh, I don't know how much like influence Konami has in that, or if any.
Well, what do you think? Do you think it should happen?
I don't. I kind of like that. Because growing up, Japan was this world of mystery and wonder. All the cool things happen in Japan. Nothing cool happens in the United States. Which, the world's changed, we've gotten older. That's not necessarily true. But I like that there are still things happening in Japan where I'm like, I wish I was there.
So you kind of want that longing and that exclusivity in Japan thing, which it makes a Japan trip more special. Maybe.
It does, though. Does it help that we can't get the no jacket? No, it does not help. But.
Well, for those who want it, I think it's a little bit depressing that like it's just such a hassle to get because you kind of have to know someone who's just in Japan at the moment and like they're willing to go and get it to you and send it to you. And I mean, again, I think like if they brought it over here, it's like for a limited time, like just bring it to Nats. Like,
I imagine there's probably someone or some type of service that specifically like buys limited time items to have them that ship them to the States.
There are a few. I wonder if Yu-Gi Market has this in particular, because Yu-Gi Market's usually kind of the go-to for like just general OCG products like sleeves, deck.
But I don't know about whatever. Limited stuff.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that they would really have this.
Because it sounds like those pop-up shops, you pretty much have to show up in person and on time.
Yeah, and just show up quickly and hope that that's what happens. Okay, so that's all the Yu-Gi-Oh news. Now it's time to get into some Yu-Gi-Oh.
I got some stories.
Some Yu-Gi-Oh news.
Oh my God, we have the same story.
Yeah, okay. So, female Yu-Gi-Oh player leaves tournament early because players smell bad. This comes to us from Niche Gamer. A female Yu-Gi-Oh player in Japan allegedly left a tournament early because of how bad the venue and players smelled.
Why didn't mine say that?
Yeah. In a tweet, a male Yu-Gi-Oh player shared their concerns after the female player left the tournament earlier. He was concerned that she'd been bullied out by the cutthroat players that tend to show up at these types of events. The players' comments were largely well received by the wider community. However, a quote retweet from a woman who knows the person who was referred to had a different take on events. She decided to set the record straight since people were concerned over how she was treated when in truth, she just couldn't take the smell any longer.
Nah.
So, this is her quote. I saw this because it was circulating, but considering the circumstances, it might be me. I left halfway through because I couldn't stand the smell. It's not like I lost or was sad.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, girl goes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament and kind of leaves midway through. Guy's like, oh no, like this girl left. I hope she wasn't being like bullied or overwhelmed or whatever. And she's like, no, I wasn't being bullied or overwhelmed.
Well, actually, she was overwhelmed.
So overwhelmed. You guys stink. And that's why I left. And I remember this tweet kind of blew up. It got like 70,000 likes. Ooh. So people were, it's unfortunate. What do we think?
I think we've all been in a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament or a card game tournament in general where we sat down, we looked our opponent in the eye, we took a big whiff, and then we stopped breathing for the rest of the game.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say this, but I feel bad for her. I don't blame her for leaving. And she's right. Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments kind of tend to smell like shit. That's not a knock against any particular player. It's just that card game tournaments, not even Yu-Gi-Oh one specifically, like Magic the
card
Gathering,
gamers,
Pokemon,
man.
If you're at a card shop, there's a very real chance that it just stinks.
Because, I mean, we even at our locals, there's one guy who will not be named.
I mean,
he's acrid. Like,
yeah, I mean, some days I go into like our local shop and I can like barely like breathe. Like I just have to like and just like shuffle to the counter, buy my cards, like leave or whatever. It's bad.
I've won and lost games kind of because of the smell.
Oh goodness, it's like that.
I remember playing a game, my opponent smelled, so I played quickly and aggressively to end the game as fast as I could, and I won. But there was another time where my opponent just smelled so bad, I wanted, we were playing I think this was during Thunder Dragon format. It was a mirror match, and a Thunder Dragon mirror match can take a while, but I wanted nothing. I wanted that to be over with. I pretty much just gave up.
Yeah,
I got out of there.
I think for a lot of people, these events are. I'm trying to put it in the most understanding way that I can. I think some people see the card shop as it's just their relaxation place, kind of their low octane, like I show
chill
up
out
after
with
work,
the homies.
chill out, like no one's really judging. We're all nerds here. We're playing card games. Yeah, don't do that because, like, truthfully, it's still a social, like, public place. Like, you still have to mind your hygiene because you will be around other people and it will make their experience significantly worse if you show up smelling like shit. And then also, like, if other people, like, it's really like it's a funny story, but it's really not like a funny story.
No, because it makes the experience worse for everyone involved, and it especially makes it hard for like new people to come into the community when they step through the door and they want to turn around.
And it gives the game a bad rap. Like people talk about, like, oh, like fighting games stink or whatever. Any nerd activity stinks. And it's like, let's kind of like beat the allegations. Let's start, take a shower, use deodorant, brush your teeth, wash your hair, like before you.
Oh, his breath was wild too. I remember.
Oh my God. I've gone to some events where breath has been really quite intense, and like you're trying to maybe trade or you're trying to like duel, and it.
I was like warm air rises, so I pointed my nose to the floor and just had to hope that it would just go up past me.
Yeah, and it can be rough because even if you're not like that's not who your opponent is. I mean, you might be sitting next to someone who's.
I've had that,
and so there's just so much. I'm sorry, Madoka Yugioh. That's the girl's account.
Madoka Yugioh.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a shame because it's just like, yeah, she wasn't like. It's not that she was getting like beaten in the game. She was just getting beaten by the smell.
Her poor olfactories.
So, yeah, just thought it was a kind of a funny story, a bit of an unfortunate one. Remember, guys, please wash your ass. We've made skits about it. We made shirts about it. Please just, some hygiene and helps goes a long way. That is all.
So I have another Yu-Gi-Oh story. Hopefully I can actually read this one.
Okay.
So Twitch streamer Kenna, I'm assuming it's a soft C. Senna, shocked as viewer sends her rare Yu-Gi-Oh cards, reportedly worth over $7,000.
Okay, what'd she get?
So Senna was streaming. Let's see. She was stunned during her stream when a fan sent her a package to her P.O. box, and inside were several gifts, including a remarkable find, a sealed and unopened Yu-Gi-Oh 1999 Bandai box, valued at over $7,000.
Oh, a 1999 Bandai box.
Mm-hmm. There's even a picture you can see right here.
Quickie look.
Up, and I hit an ad.
Oh, okay. So she's looking it up on eBay?
Yes.
Where's hers?
Hers?
Or does she show hers?
I think that's also in a video.
Oh, well, I mean, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, but a fan just sent her an extremely rare piece of Yu-Gi-Oh history.
Is she like a streamer who normally plays Yu-Gi-Oh or like talks about her love for Yu-Gi-Oh? Or is
I've never heard of her before, but I don't watch a lot of streamers, so someone else better informed can let me know. Let's see. It says, Senna's an Austin-based streamer, boasts a substantial following of over 150,000 followers. Known for her consistency in streaming, she typically engages with her audience in the just chatting category, although she also enjoys playing a diverse range of games during her streams.
That told us nothing.
It doesn't sound like she's like a card gamer, but someone who's a big fan of her happened to have one of these extremely rare boxes and was like, here you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I suppose I wouldn't complain if someone wanted to send me.
Yeah, guys, if
someone wanted to send me.
Oh, but we don't have the P.O. box anymore.
We don't. Need to get that. Well, either way, congrats to her. You know, it must be nice.
Yeah, go ahead and leave in the Google form or something if you want to send us a very rare Yu-Gi-Oh product. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we can work something out. Yeah, no, that's cool. It's kind of funny. We recently did a video where we were like doing a Yu-Gi-Oh quiz over on Team APS, and those original Bandai sets came up as like one of the questions.
They sure did.
So it kind of reminds me about like how
I got that one right.
Those old Bandai sets are really real Yu-Gi-Oh history to those. Like, I don't know. I don't know that I liked how the cards looked back then. I kind of found them a little atrocious to me.
Wow,
but
you didn't read
having
the manga,
a piece
clearly.
of the history would be cool. Awesome. Is that all our Yu-Gi-Oh?
That is all my Yu-Gi-Oh. You got anything else?
All my Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well, I do have a card game story.
All right, let's go.
And it's an AI story.
Oh, it's both in one?
It's both the things I hate.
A double whammy.
Love. Card game developer says it paid an AI artist $90,000 to generate card art because no one comes close to the quality he delivers.
Wait, he paid an AI artist to
$90,000 to do his card art.
Card art for, like, I guess, his game?
Yes.
Because no one okay, all right, let's hear it. What do I got to say?
The maker of digital trading card game Champions of Otherworldly Magic says it has spent $90,000 on card art, the entirety of which has been paid to a single AI artist who receives $15,000 per month despite less than 2 full work days for each product each month, or each project each month. $15K a month.
I guess generating AI stuff.
So we pay our AI artist $15,000 USD per month for exactly 10 hours of work, reads an X post from the official Champions TCG account. Why? In that time, he still makes hundreds of amazing bits of artwork astronomically faster than any team of traditional artists.
What is this card game if you don't?
It's Champions of Otherworldly Magic.
Never heard of that.
Yeah.
Kind of regret that I do now.
Now you're a little bit more familiar. According to Champions TCG co-founder and CEO Miles Malik, who spoke to PC Gamer over DM, the artist has made over 1,000 images with generative AI over the course of 6 months and was paid $15K each month. The anonymous artist has 15 years of digital art experience and doesn't use social media.
Okay, so I guess the people can't go and hate on them.
Let's see. I'm trying to find what spurred the response. because essentially how this quote came about was someone.
That's our main camera.
All right,
let's continue.
We're locked in. So
it's a routine around here.
So someone reposted this card game's artwork on X or Twitter, saying that this artwork is butt ugly and terrible.
Yeah, okay.
And so that spurred the official account for Champions of whatever to reply with, we love our AI art, we pay them this amount of money, yada 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 yada, no one else can match its quality.
Right. Okay. Can I see some of the art? Is there a
Yes,
picture?
Let me get the actual page open because there's more pictures than I could show. There we go.
I would like to see. Okay. Okay. So the art is nice if you didn't know it's AI, right? Like it's a cute little kind of creature.
Yeah, cute enough for the untrained eye.
But it has that AI vibe to it. When you've seen enough like AI art versus normal art, like you
can't unsee it.
It's that look. If people in chat, you'll probably be able to tell.
Like, is the word I want to use smooth?
It's very smoothness? It tends to look smooth. It tends to look synthetic. I guess in more ways than one. But I wonder. I mean, I don't. I guess this isn't a super popular game, or is it? Maybe. Is it even a physical game, or it's like a digital one?
It's one of those digital games, and yes, NFTs are involved.
This one gets better by the second.
Yeah, it's always interesting how like AI and NFTs just kind of like come together to take away money from hardworking people.
Yeah, I mean that's rough. I think I don't know enough about this game to say whether the game is good or bad. So the game might be a lot of fun, perhaps, but I'm just not a huge fan of, I guess, like using its AI images in a card game because I feel that removes a lot of the passion from the equation.
I guess
outside of being heavily derivative,
I think it depends on what you look for in your card games.
I was going to say something similar next. Go on.
Yeah, I think if you just like to play games and the aesthetic of the game does not matter, then AI art doesn't make a difference for you.
Yeah, because this is really just a stopgap to the strategy of it. Like, there's actually a real contingent of Yu-Gi-Oh players even who they don't actually really care like what's in the card or what they're called. They care about the strategy of it.
Right.
And to a lot of these people, like, I don't give a shit about the White Woods lore, right? I don't care. Like,
and those people are less than filth.
Are they good? Are they bad? And if like, that's the answer that I need, right? Like, a lot of people don't know the names of half the cards they use. They just use them because they're good. And, for that person, I guess if the art's AI or not means nothing. So, I mean, in that way, it's sort of filling the gap. And then also, I know like with these digital games, I think that maybe that scrutiny is even lower because like you're playing a digital game. So maybe it's just like you're not planning to physically collect it. So it probably means less to you. It's just a digital asset, perhaps.
I think for some people that might be the case. I know for me, art is paramount in everything that I consume.
Okay.
I judge a book by its cover. Even if I'm looking at a bookstore, your cover has to draw me in before any words on that book itself.
Well, cool. I mean, I hope that Champions of whatever the hell it's called is doing well. I mean, I guess I
hope it fails.
Maybe it's. I don't know. I would like to know more about it, but then I also kind of wouldn't because I'm not going to play. I mean,
I look for the day where I can, for my card game stories on the pod, I can bring up how Champions, whatever, has failed.
Okay. Well, fun and unfortunate, eh?
See, very.
I'll say, okay, one last thing I guess I can say is that maybe it makes it more accessible. Like, the AI thing means like if average Joe wants to like make his card game and the hardest part of making the card game was the art, well now he can like make it.
Yep.
So
he sure can.
I don't like the sound of that much, but they can do so. Cool.
Find an artist, people. If you want to make a game, Find an artist.
It would be good if you could to find an artist to draw instead of just using AI, but who is to say? Anyway, I've got an interesting story, but do you have any more card game ones first?
I do one that's related to Magic the Gathering, though I don't know much about it myself. I figure I'd read it anyway.
Okay.
So it says MTG's new mascot is already getting merch and players are divided.
New mascot? Who's the new mascot?
Who's the old mascot?
I thought the old one was Jace.
Who?
Jace? Isn't that his name? Or...
Larry would know.
Well, no, I mean...
I don't know my Magic lore.
I remember asking the professor this, actually. I was like, hey, who's, like, Magic's kind of dark magician, like, Pikachu, whatever? He said it's Jace. Or for a while, it was Jace.
What else? It sounds like a Planeswalker name.
Yeah, I think
but
Jace is a Planeswalker.
Whatever this thing is, it's certainly not a Jace. With the abundance of Universes Beyond crossover sets recently, MTG is carving out a large slice of the pop culture pie for itself, embracing popular series like Fallout and Doctor Who, with Final Fantasy on the way. It has some players feeling concerned that Hasbro is pushing for marketability over the integrity of the game's worlds and stories. These fears are the reason why some players are having such an adverse reaction to the character Loot, an adorable creature rescued from the Thunder Junction's vault by established MTG characters Jace and Vraska.
Okay, so
while
Jace, so I do my bit of Magic trivia is right.
It came in handy. So while Loot's adorable design will make it a new favorite for many, it's been inspiring revulsion in some areas instead. With new MTG merch featuring Loot being discovered, the issue is only compounding for some fans. So at the top is Loot, and the bottom is some Loot merch.
Oh, Loot's cute.
Loot is cute.
So wait, why don't they like him?
I think it's the fact that he's marketable.
Maybe they feel it was made like strictly with marketing in mind. Like we made him extra. Like he feels maybe too made in a lab, sort of. You know, made by a team,
designed to be
team,
like a Pikachu or.
But like,
Charmander.
Is that a bad thing?
I don't know.
Now, if they tell me it's AI generated, well, I guess that's different. But like,
yeah, now that's a problem.
But like, I mean, I think it's a cute little thing.
Like, I don't have an issue with
Loot. What's Loot?
Loot. LOOT.
Okay, like a loot box.
Yikes!
I'll buy some Loot merch.
So
just to spite these haters.
Why exactly has the reaction to Loot and the characters' associated merch been so polarized? For starters, it can be difficult for characters like Loot to catch a break. There's a fine line to walk where what can be endearing and adorable to many can be infuriating. Mascot characters like the Mandalorian's Grogu can see fan reactions flip at a moment's notice. Even then, just the appearance of critters like this can be enough to send fans into a frenzy, good or bad, as said by user Hellscare6 on Reddit, our favorite platform.
Okay.
Loot really is like those jumping spiders. Some people fucking die of cuteness overload looking at them. Others would get a flamethrower and burn their houses down.
I get the impression this isn't even really a story. Like, they made this character, and some haters don't like it, and like they're on Reddit. And
some people like it, some people hate it. That's controversy and division. That's the story.
I mean, like we could say that about many things. Okay, well, I mean, I think that Loot's cute. You like him?
Look, I hope I pull a Loot. I want Loot. I think it's a card. I'm assuming it's a card.
Cool. What do you guys think? I mean, like, I don't know that there's much to like say about it. I guess either you like it or you don't. But
I guess
the
real question here is: Do you want your like favorite franchises to create little like mascot-y characters purely for like fan like reaction and engagement, or would you like them to stick to the established lore that they have? Like, it's hard. I can't really use Yu-Gi-Oh as an example because we have mascots and they're not going away anytime soon.
Well, my answer to the question is I think it's fine to have mascots. I think cute things tend to sell really well and like help kind of make your game a little bit more accessible from the outside. Like, oh, I saw the cute thing. What's it from?
I mean, what if the Mandalorian didn't have Baby Yoda or Grogu, as we know his name to be now?
I wish that Yu-Gi-Oh did more with its mascots. I've said that for years. Like, we should do even more with Karibo and like Time Wizard and those old things. And now Konami's, they've been kind of doing a little bit more with that. I say do that. Like, it's fun to have something that's like you can turn into a plush or that you can gonna have as a cute icon, or it doesn't hurt to me.
The Pikachu effect is a good thing for a franchise.
Maybe, no, I'm just gonna kind of jump out on a limb here and assume that maybe Magic's lore is generally not as cute, and so maybe this feels like a bit of a
maybe it feels like it's a different direction.
Out maybe too much or something. But when I saw the creature, I still feel like it still feels like a magical creature.
Right.
So I don't think it seems so out of place.
Like, it doesn't look like a Pokemon. It doesn't even look like a Digimon. I would say this looks like a creature in the world of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, so I don't mind it. I would love to hear what the Magic players think. Do you feel like it's just forced kind of marketing from Wizards that you don't appreciate? I would certainly buy some loot merch.
Don't worry, I'll send you some links later.
Okay, thanks. I'll be sure to make the purchase. Okay, well, it's time to transition into a little bit of gaming news.
Oh, what you got?
Did you know?
No.
That 2024 is filled with video game remakes and remasters. This is barely a story, but it's more of a commentary on the fact that we've been getting more and more and more remakes and remasters of games rather than new games. You might remember that last week we were talking about how, like, the PlayStation 5, like, I think it was last week, like, doesn't really have, like, lots of new games. Like, this new generation of consoles, there's a lot of, like, remasters and stuff. Here's a list of all of the remakes and remasters coming out in 2024. And I'm not going to read them all. I'll just go through some highlights.
Is it that long of a list?
It's a long list.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know the whole list?
I didn't know there was that many.
The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy, Hitman Blood Money Reprisal, Persona 3 Reload, Tomb Raider 1-3 Remastered.
It's Tomb
Raider, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Brothers A Tale of Two Sons Remake, Star Wars Dark Forces Remaster, Stalker Legends of the Zone Trilogy, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection, Gigantic, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade, Wrath of the Mutants, El Shaddai Ascension of the Metatron HD Remaster, Braid Anniversary Edition, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, Age of Mythology, Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary, Epic Mickey Rebrushed, Gothic Remake, Lollipop Chainsaw Repop, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, Riven Remake, Rugrats Adventures in Gameland, I don't know what the hell that is, Shadows of the Damned, Hella Remastered, Silent Hill 2 Remake, Sonic Generations X Shadow, and Until Dawn Remaster. And that might have been missing a few.
I haven't even heard of some of those games.
Neither have I, but they're getting remakes. Do you think this like says something about the gaming industry, like that there's kind of been an increased prevalence of remakes and remasters because they're maybe safer or just kind of easier sales to cash in on?
It's a direct mirror of what we see in Hollywood right now. A retracting from ambitious, risky new IPs and titles and falling back on what's worked before.
Yeah. That's true. According to this article, this person says, games are arduous and expensive to make, which is very true. And many of them can't compete with the 5 or 6 live service hits that suck up all the oxygen in the room.
I'll leave Fortnite alone.
So this is probably the best way to get kind of a guaranteed sale from a set of people and not have to invest like R&D and resources and stuff into kind of developing something entirely new. I can remake the thing that people liked 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So, risks are costly.
It's one of those things where it's a sound strategy when the field looks too risky to bring new like projects in. But you know what's going to happen, right?
What?
At some point, like, gamers are going to get tired of the remakes, and then they'll stop buying those too. And that's when game companies will then start pushing out new titles. They're just waiting for us to get tired of all the remakes.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those cases where our upstairs neighbors are very loud. I guess it's one of those cases where you just see how long it can last. Like, how much can we milk out of the gamer? How long can, like, the millennial age people in particular, because that's kind of where I feel like this stuff tends to be targeted, how long will they continue to eat this stuff up?
And I don't think we really know the answer, because every time someone hits the right game to remake, there's a huge swell of support. Like, yeah, I've been waiting for this. This came out when I was 12 and I couldn't wait to replay it.
That's actually something that's always been kind of alarming to me, I guess, is like, we'll get, so there's two things that always, I don't say confuse me, but give me some pause, is like, first of all, when a skin will come to Fortnite, or whatever, like, let's say like the Dragon Ball characters are in Fortnite, I thought that stuff was free. It's not free, as it turns out.
No, never.
So, you pay your like 10, 15, however much these skins cost. And like, it's kind of interesting because Goku or whatever in like Fortnite, does he change the like mechanics of the game at all? Or is it like just a skin?
It's just a skin. That'll be game breaking.
Yeah. And so it's kind of weird that like, it's not weird to like Goku, and it's not weird to want to play as him in Fortnite or be hyped about it. I guess it's just odd that like, they really can just sell you your childhood, like, back to you.
Yeah.
And I've always found it, like, odd that I guess, like, we'll just pay the money to do that. Like, we'll pay. And then also, the second thing is that, like, I saw when they were, like, remaking, like, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, like, HD or whatever on Switch, and I was like, this is cool. I guess we're just okay with, like, paying $60 more, however much it costs. Like,
well, that remains to be seen, right? Are we okay? Who's buying it?
Oh, people are very hyped.
Oh, okay.
This is
never
a very
mind.
hyped game.
Never mind. We're buying it. All right. I didn't
like,
know.
I mean, it's presumably we are buying it. And I was just like, I guess I'm just surprised that, like, it's so... Like, I don't really usually like playing just these, like, remaster games. So...
I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah.
And God, has it annoyed me. Like, the game itself. In some ways, I think I would have preferred a more one-to-one remaster of the original games rather than them try to make something new out of that old title. I think I actually would have enjoyed it more if it would have been a remaster. But typically, I'm not a person who buys remastered games. For me, usually once is enough. I barely even play games like twice to get the full endings.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting, I guess, like when the news will drop of like they're doing an HD remake of this and like everyone's so hype, and I'm just like, what are you hype about? Maybe that's like a Killjoy kind of.
I think for most people, it's more of a criticism of the modern gaming space.
Yeah, you know what? You're probably right.
Because I remember when they announced that they were going to remake the Battlefronts 1 and 2, Star Wars Battlefronts 1 and 2, in their little HD collection thing. And like many people, I was really hyped for that. Why? Because that was the last time they made a good Battlefront game.
Yeah, so it feels like it kind of takes you back to an age that you felt at least was like back in the good old days, like back when these games were good.
Yeah, back when a game could be a game.
Yeah, it's the same in the Sonic space, like the Sonic the Hedgehog community. Like people have wanted like Sonic Adventure and Adventure 2 to be like remade for ages. So much so that like they really would rather those games get like a remake or something than there be a new ambitious or different Sonic game. And part of me is like, yeah, I agree. Like I really loved Sonic Adventure 2. Like I would want like remake it with HD graphics. But it's like, well, I don't know if that's like really very good for the franchise. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
I think, and this is more of a hot take, I think there's too much money in the game industry. I think these corporations have these huge budgets and they want to see huge returns on games. And so what they keep putting out these they keep putting out what they think the gaming audience wants. What they think, they put out games that they think we want and will bring them the returns that they want. But that's not how gaming became what it is today.
Yeah.
Video games weren't always profitable. Video games did not have huge budgets. Many of them were passion projects, burning money. And a lot of them ended up making money on the back end. But what these corporations want to plan for massive profits. And that's burned gamers to the point where just give me, because can you just give me what I had before? Just
yeah.
Because y'all don't know what y'all doing.
I get you. Well, that's a great segue into a sort of related story. The Saber CEO says, Saber Interactive CEO Matthew Kark believes that I think it'll get to it in the article.
Oh, okay.
But $70 games will go the way of the dodo, is what he says, believes Saber CEO.
Okay.
The Saber Interactive CEO Matthew Kark believes the $70 game will eventually become a thing of the past as developers move to reduce costs and risk in an increasingly challenging AAA games market. Speaking to IGN, former interim COO of Embracer, Kark discussed Saber's divestment from the troubled group. I think it's going to say what Saber is in a second.
Hopefully.
So the exec says he believes Saber, which encompasses studios like Nimble Giant of Star Trek Infinite, 3D Realms, they made a game called Ion Fury, and potential other games like Metro, occupies a position between an independent studio and a AAA publisher. So, anyways, here's what he's got to say.
Okay.
He told IGN that one of its upcoming titles, Space Marine 2, will retail for $70, but only because he's concerned audiences would see a cheaper price as emblematic of poor quality. I think that as games become more expensive to make, the $70 title is going to go the way of the dodo bird. I do. I just don't think it's sustainable. Look, you remember the hype for Cyberpunk, which I think actually ultimately performed okay. But when the expectations are so high and so much money is put into one title, it's hugely risky for the company that's doing it. What if it fails? You remember what happened when Ubisoft a couple of years ago, all their titles slipped out of the year, and then all of a sudden they were in an entirely different place? It's hard to recover from that.
Right.
I think the market is going to shift to development, which is not necessarily lower quality, but there's going to be an emphasis on trying to find ways to reduce costs.
AI.
So, with thousands of job cuts announced across the game industry in the past 18 months, he acknowledged that AAA development is going through a major shift and claimed that past trends of sky-high budgets and lengthy development periods just aren't sustainable. What do we think?
I agree. Good.
Good.
Now, do I love the aggressive use that these gaming companies are going to make of AI in order to accomplish this? No. However, I do think we need to cut back a bit on the budgets of these games. Get the expectations a little bit lower. Graphics don't need to be better than ever. Like, let's focus on gameplay again.
So you think maybe cut down the ambition a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think I agree. So I think that the $70 game, I think that the part that you said at the start was kind of interesting to me. That some game companies kind of feel they need to price the game at 70, A, because I guess it's a little more profitable, but B, to be less than 70 suggests like less quality in the game.
I've literally thought that.
Yeah, and like where it's like, why is this game like $50? Like, what is that?
Yeah,
saying
what's
like
wrong
it's
with
a
it?
short game? Does that mean it's like there's not much content to it? So I think there is kind of some pressure to just be $70 because if you're less, then it looks like you're crap or you're cut some corner here. But I think that the $70 thing isn't going to work because like people don't have money. Like $70 is quite a lot to be paying for like a new game that you aren't entirely sure that you'll like and stuff. And so in that way, it might feel safer to get like a game that, like the remakes that we were talking about, for instance, like these remakes and kind of remasters and stuff like that.
They're never 70.
It's, they're rarely $70, like full price or whatever. But even if they are, at least it's like something that for the company was lower costs to make because you're like remastering a game. That's all. And for the consumer is actually lower risk to buy because it's like, well, I know I liked this game 20 years ago.
Right.
So I'll just like it again in HD now.
Oh yeah, I guess I kind of did that with Brilliant Diamond.
Yeah, like Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. That was an example.
I like that game.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. So, I wonder if $70 goes down to 60 or 50. I doubt that. Like, I think that Sony, Microsoft, like, the publishers would always prefer 70 just be the price tag.
Yeah.
Or more if they could get away with it. But I think that consumers' willingness to purchase a $70 game will decrease to the point that, like, a developer might find that, okay, maybe we'll make like a $70 game, but also like more of the stuff that we make should be closer to like that $40, $50, even $30 kind of like nearly competing with indies type of thing.
I think the gaming industry has been moving towards a cliff for a long time, and that cliff being at what point does better hardware, better graphics, better software actually stop transitioning into a better play experience?
Yes.
Because as it stands right now, every year we get maybe 4 or 5 titles that make adequate use of the hardware they're made for and also deliver a play experience that actually satisfies players. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. The PS5 only has a handful of games that, one, fully utilize what the hardware can do, and two, people actually enjoyed playing them and will do again.
I think a really good example of a game recently that's been like making huge waves and has good production value and is fun, but not like a $70 game is Helldivers 2.
How much does Helldivers cost?
It's $40.
Oh.
Yeah, it's $40 on Steam. And it's been very popular. People have really liked it. And like, it's not $70. Like, you can get the same joy out of the game. And I think that people are actually, even in some cases, more willing to forgive glitches and bugs for a game that is $70 as opposed to, or for a game that is like $40 as opposed to one that is $70.
Right.
Because if it's 70 and it's like buggy out the gate or there's missing features, it's like, oh wow, so you guys really tried to like fleece us here, right? Like you charged $70. And like this game mode wasn't even done, and there's all these bugs and glitches, and the performance is crap. But it's like, well, I only paid $30 for this. I can put up with like a glitch or two here and there because like I'm having fun. I didn't spend like half the paycheck or whatever on this game.
It's interesting. I haven't been really like dialed into like mainstream gaming since Cyberpunk's release because the game burned me so bad. Now, no matter how interesting, no matter how hyped the game is, it has to release, and I have to like watch it for some time. And I just
see if it like lives up.
Getting games at full price, it feels too risky nowadays.
It does. I think that, and we might have mentioned this in a past podcast. I mean, I'm just a big proponent or supporter or whatever of like the idea that you buy a single player $70 game that's just chock full of content, but more importantly, finished. So, like you get these like games that like they want to charge you full price and be like a sort of live service or pseudo live service game. And it's like, and it's still devoid of content. Plenty of examples I'm sure we can all give. But like when you think about a game, like for me, that was Hogwarts Legacy. For a lot of people, that might be like what current Cyberpunk is actually. Like given that it's gotten all these updates and stuff, I'm sure there's some like deluxe version or something you can buy now.
Yeah, I mean.
And like there's a lot of content in that. Or one that, I really liked, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like love or hate kind of certain aspects of, they retold the story in a way I didn't like. But just that game's 75 hours. For like $70, there are games that you can pay $70 for that are like over in less than 20.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And so for Final Fantasy to be like that chock full of stuff to do, it's like 70 hours for just the campaign. And then also, but like there's like other stuff to do. I just think that there's like a lot more value in that. And that like feels like a justified $70 versus some of these games that are like $70 and then they're having to like patch them months and months and months out. It's like,
what I've enjoyed because of my very lax gaming habits? I actually really like being able to go back and play the game of the year like 2 years ago, or like just games that came out 2 years ago. When their development cycle is complete, they're no longer getting updates or DLC or anything.
Yes.
I picked them up for less than full price. They've been bug tested and fixed up to the point when they're actually they're fine. Even if they came out rough, they're fine now. And I can have it as a good experience. Now, I can't really share that online. Nobody's talking about these games anymore. They had their time.
But that waiting for, what it reminds me of too, actually a lot is the smartphone kind of thing, like the smartphone market where a new flagship smartphone will release. Like I say, a Samsung Galaxy S24 releases now. It's like $1,000, however much they cost, like $900.
It's an expensive phone.
But actually, that because smartphone development has stalled so much, and like each year is only slightly iteratively better than the last, you can actually in 2024. Buy like a Galaxy S22 and it's been discounted to like, $300 or $400 or something.
That's how much 22 costs?
Probably, I don't know. And like it's actually just a better value. You know what I mean? Like it's a better value.
You're blowing my mind right now.
Yeah. So it just kind of reminds me of what you were saying about like, I can play the game of the year that like from 2 or 3 years ago, when it's on sale for like $20 on Steam or something. And actually, the game's still the same, and it's still a really good experience. I just didn't pay $70 for it.
You know what's crazy? At some point, Elden Ring's gonna be $20.
Yeah, and that's insane because
I'm gonna play $20 Elden Ring.
Yeah, and that's insane because like Elden Ring's like a good game. It's full of content, and people will be able to play it for like literally cheap.
I can't wait. I've really enjoyed just picking up games well after their run. It's been a lot of fun because like games from years ago don't look bad.
They don't.
Like, I feel like we haven't really taken that next step graphically because, one, I don't really think we need to. So,
I mean, it feels like it's not going to be possible without some significantly more expensive, like, console machines. And, like, there's kind of an invisible ceiling of about $500 where if a console ever goes much higher than that, it just starts to be hard to actually sell it to, like, a family and teenagers and stuff. So
they got to partner with Verizon. Get a new Verizon plan. We'll get you the new PS6.
Oh, Jesus. So, yeah, thought that was kind of an interesting story. The death of the $70 game might be sooner than we think. Back to you.
Speaking of the death of gaming, I just want to let everyone know that...
Speaking of the death of gaming.
Today in Fortnite, I guess for you guys, yesterday, they just released all the Avatar characters as skins. Well, everybody except for Sokka. It's Are
people upset about that?
It's kind of weird. It's Toph, Aang, Zuko, Katara, and
that's the Benders.
Korra is a part of the battle pass. So, but Sokka is just nowhere to be found, and that is sad. Okay. But it is just my PSA. Hey, Avatar fans, come play Fortnite with us.
Okay, just had to let them know.
Yeah, I mean, they also added the bending to the game. You can fire bend, you can water bend, you can air bend in game. They come as their attacks, their traversal items. It's actually really cool. Try it out.
Okay, so any other story?
Let's see. I do have this story about DuoLingo.
Okay,
it's vaguely gaming related.
I'm interested in hearing it. I don't know a lot about DuoLingo, actually. You don't use it, so.
Why, yes. That is a Witcher reference in language learning app DuoLingo. That's the title.
Okay.
So, you read that right. There's a Witcher reference in DuoLingo, the same app you might use to pick up some French vocabulary ahead of a vacation or brush up on the Spanish you learned in high school. In the official Witcher subreddit, user Geralt and Yennefer noticed something peculiar about a question they got in the app's Finnish course. DuoLingo asked the Redditor to translate the phrase, "The bride is a woman and the groom is a hedgehog." Puzzled by the specificity, there we go, it took me a while to get the word out, of the request, Geralt and Yennefer plainly asked in our Witcher if it was a reference to Sapkowski's successful fantasy series. According to IGN, it is. The publication got confirmation from a DuoLingo spokesperson that the line points to A Question of Price, a short story Sapkowski wrote, that's the creator of The Witcher, in the 1993 anthology collection The Last Wish. It was adapted into the 4th episode of The Witcher's first season on Netflix, of Banquets, Bastards, and Burials, which tells a story of how Ciri became Geralt's daughter.
All right, so tell me what you think about this.
I just think it's a random thing.
Yeah, that's the same. I feel like you just scraped the bottom of the barrel, found something interesting.
It's a random. Well, I had an experience like this before.
I don't know anything about The Witcher, so I'm literally relying on you to like give me the significance here.
I mean, I always find it fun where they just kind of cram random game culture into things that otherwise they kind of shouldn't be. I had a similar experience myself once.
Okay.
When I was applying for jobs here in Louisiana, I had to take an ethics test.
Okay.
And my ethics test contained multiple Game of Thrones references. It was very strange. So, in an ethics test, they propose scenarios to you. If you see a pen on the... would you steal a pen at your office or whatever, right? Questions like that. Yeah. Except in this ethics test, it would just kind of it would just change the names to Game of Thrones characters, and even the setting would be in Game of Thrones locations. But otherwise, they're just normal ethics questions, and I'm like, who was having too much fun at the office that day?
Yeah, I mean, whoever made the quiz, I feel like if I was making like an ethics quiz or just something, I would probably do the same.
I did not get the job.
Oh, well, you think that if you were watching Game of Thrones, that should have been a shoe-in.
You
knew the
think,
references.
You think what's crazy is I took the ethics test twice, and they still had Game of Thrones questions in there.
Well,
I didn't take it twice because I failed the ethics quest. I'm ethical.
Okay, well, maybe you aren't. If you, I mean, do you know that that's why you?
I don't know why I didn't get the job.
Okay, well, two beloved gaming services are being shut down online forever. A farewell to the Wii U and Nintendo 3DS online services.
They still had online services?
Yeah, Nintendo's officially closing the chapter on the Wii U and 3DS. Today, and that was to say like 2 days ago now, today is the final day to play online on either console, and it's kind of making me want to dust off the Wii U just to play the original Splatoon online one last time. Yeah, so the Nintendo Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS, all their online services are ending. Nintendo first announced the shutdown last year and also closed the online stores for both consoles back last March of 2023. Now, despite the shutdown, Nintendo says that features like Street Pass, Pokemon Bank, and Poke Transporter will remain online for the time being, but it is doing away with the Nintendo Badge Arcade and Spot Pass services. I remember that on the 3DS, I think. So,
shout outs to a real one, the 3DS, the last great handheld.
So this is kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, these games can't play online anymore. It sucks. It's one of those grim reminders about how, like, in the increasingly digital age, there's also kind of an impermanence to everything now.
Right.
Where this game is a lot of fun. You're playing it online, but one day its servers will be off. And maybe if it has a single player component, you'll still be able to play that. But otherwise,
nothing.
That's kind of the end. And for some games and consoles, that matters more than others. Like in the case of the Wii U, a lot of the Wii U's best games were re-released on the Switch. So, like, whatever, not a huge deal.
Buy them again.
But, like, on the 3DS, that's not as much so the case. Like, there's a lot of games on the 3DS.
3DS had a lot of titles.
That you just won't really be able to, like, play online. So you can't play online in, like, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon, right? Like, that just, you know, Kid Icarus Uprising, Animal Crossing, like, all those games you just wouldn't be able to really play.
Dang, man.
Did you have any stories of, like, any games that you played on the 3DS that you, like, played online or especially liked?
Smash?
Yeah,
played Smash online. Yeah. I think that was because that was the first time Smash had ever been on a handheld, right?
It was, yeah, the 3DS version of
Smash. That was a
for
special
Wii U
time.
3DS.
We were in the dorms.
Very special, yeah.
Oh, this is taking me back now.
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, I did play the Pokemon games online. I think Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. I remember playing a little bit of online on those. I had a friend who was really, really, really into the competitive scene with that. He would, like, you know, breed Pokemon, raise them, all that stuff. And so I guess you can't really play online on those. I know, like, there's obviously Pokemon Showdown and stuff now, so you could. Well, that was there even then.
Yeah, it was, like, well before.
But still, I mean, I guess that there are just certain services that, like, would only really be applicable on that console, and now they don't really exist anymore. Shame.
Yeah, you know, the 3DS, I think, was a very solid handheld for the time. I'm always nostalgic for it because it just feels like the Switch didn't do it for me as far as handhelds go.
Really? You're not too big a Switch fan?
No, the Switch, I mean, it was designed to do both. And I just don't think it did either as well as it could
have. Well, I'll say this about the 3DS. I like that the 3DS is kind of a turnaround success story. Like when the 3DS first came out, it launched at like a really high price tag. It was like $250. Mm-hmm. Did not sell well, got really bad reception. And then Nintendo had to really like get competitive for a change.
Right.
And like they had to drastically lower the price. I remember they lowered it to like $179, like an $80 price cut for a console like within the first like year of its release. That doesn't happen. Like, you know, and they had to make all the new colors, and they made like the 3DS XL and then the 2DS. And like it turned around and became like one of the best selling consoles. But still, it was like not like that at the start. It did not immediately replicate the 2DS or the original DS's success. And so they had to like put in the work and then they got the reward, and so I thought that was like a cool.
I do remember I started off with a 2DS and that very awkward form factor the 2DS
Yeah,
had.
the 2DS is a weird machine.
But then,
but it was cheap.
It was cheap.
It was like $129 or something, and 99. It was very.
Remember, I got it just so I could start playing like Smash and stuff, and then I got a 3DS XL.
I think I got the 2DS so I could play Omega Ruby Fire, maybe, or something like that. One of those Pokemon games.
And then the 3D gimmick.
The 3D gimmick.
Hats off to Nintendo, man.
It really flopped and was
nobody
not
asked for that.
Yeah,
but I will say,
but it was cool when it worked.
Despite the fact that it would drain the hell out of your battery
and kind of made your eyes hurt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would get headaches trying to do that. But I will say, certain games it was kind of cool.
Yeah. So that was cool. Now, meanwhile, the Wii U, obviously not Nintendo's best console. Not many great games, laggy menus.
Confused parents.
Confused marketing. But alas, I mean, it introduced Smash 4. That was a game that I played a lot of. And it did have other good games that they have since re-released on the Switch. So that, like, if you missed out on Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, you can, like, play it now on a better console or as a better supported one. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, the Xbox 360 store has announced that it's going to close in July 2024. So,
I have no feelings.
Yeah, this isn't as, I guess, close to home for me, but yeah, this November will mark 18 years since Xbox 360 launched. And on July 29th, Xbox will stop supporting the ability to purchase new games, DLC, and other entertainment content from the Xbox 360 store on the console and the Xbox 360 marketplace. Also, related to this change, the Microsoft Movies and TV app, that's something that was on the Xbox 360, will no longer function, which means TV and movie content will no longer be viewable on your Xbox 360 after this date as well.
Okay, I guess I do feel something, because that 360 did have a run. Like,
it did. I mean, it was a huge success story in that console generation. It was the thing that everyone had.
Like, I mean, I didn't, but it was common.
Yeah, it was very common.
It was common.
It will not affect your ability to play Xbox 360 games or DLC that you've already purchased. So if you purchased, a game or DLC, like you can still play it. It's just that you will not be able to buy any more things on this store.
Though I don't know if there's any Xbox 360 content that you can't get on a newer like Microsoft device now.
Apparently, there's a few games that are not, but like they have been putting in a lot of work and making.
They're pretty aggressive about porting it
backwards
over.
Compatibility stuff and ports. So. Just kind of a related story. Sad to see these gaming consoles see their kind of weird, awkward end of life with online, because it's like you can still own the console and play the games, but you can't really get online on some of these games now. So cool.
It's kind of strange. Because I have a PS5. I know at some point my PS5 will be obsolete, but it's also my Blu-ray player,
which is kind of cool because at least it means like you now like. When it becomes obsolete, that will at least be like a function. Because
like the PS6, when it comes out one day, I mean, what if it might not even have a disc drive, right? It's a real chance discs won't be a thing. And so then will I have a PS5 and a PS6? Just the PS5 is mainly a Blu-ray player and the PS6 is a gaming device?
I mean, I guess in the marketer's ideal world, you would not have a need for Blu-rays because you will just stream your anime and any movies that you had.
Yeah, but they keep pulling stuff from like streaming services and it's hard to find. And I don't want to pay for all that. I'd rather buy my one Blu-ray set.
Just subscribe to the service that has the movie or show that you want to
watch. Will pirate it. I mean, I won't do that. That's not me. Don't look into my history.
So, yeah, that's sad. Any more stories? You got something good for us?
Let's see. Some gaming stuff.
Okay.
So Star Wars Outlaws got a trailer recently. I think they got a release date and everything.
Which one's that?
Outlaws is it's the open world game. It's about the girl. We talked about in the pod once.
So this isn't the controversial trailer about the black characters.
This is a game that was a TV series.
Okay, all right.
So it says physical copies of Star Wars Outlaws require an internet connection to install. So
there's okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of mind blowing, right? If you buy the physical disc of this game, This game releases in late summer. If you buy the physical disc, just to put it into your machine and install it, you have to have internet. It requires a connection just for that. Which isn't...
So really, why not buy it digitally at that point?
I don't know.
I mean, like, why are they even offering a physical one? Like, if you
at that
have
point,
to have an
there's no
internet connection and you have to, like, install it, I mean, are you saving anything? And someone and fill me in.
Let us know. I mean, I guess no one can really have the answer yet. Maybe it's in this article. Let's see. So, Star Wars Outlaws is looking pretty dang good. I mean, that's an opinion, but sure. In a news story released on April 9th, we learned Outlaws is launching in August. We also got a better look at some of the... August? That's not really summer anymore. But okay.
It's summer.
It is still summer? Oh, it doesn't feel like it to
me. Fall
me.
starts in September, late September.
School starts in August, and so I guess
mentally it always feels like, oh, that's the end of summer.
We also got a better look at some of the characters and worlds you'll be able to visit in this large Star Wars adventure that's set between the events of Empire Strike Back and Return of the Jedi. Those are two classic stuff. I know you're not too familiar.
I'm not.
But alongside the new trailer, Ubisoft opened up Outlaws pre-orders for Xbox Series.
Is it a Ubisoft game?
It is a Ubisoft game.
Wasn't the last Star Wars
like
an EA game?
The last game?
Wasn't that an EA Star Wars game?
Oh, there have been EA Star Wars games, yes. I don't know if that's the last one. Yeah, they just moved.
Okay.
Disney says everybody gets a turn.
Everybody gets a little Star Wars. Okay.
But where was I? Oh yeah, so pre-orders for Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and PC. But according to Ubisoft, if you want to delve into the Galaxy's seedy underworld, you'll need to make sure you are connected to the internet during installation, even if you bought the game on disc. So yeah, they don't actually explain why it needs an internet connection or why there's a point of even having a physical disc, but...
What is it saying?
Oh, limited space remaining.
Oh, okay. It's just telling us we have 15 more minutes to pod.
Okay, so that's the end of that story.
Cool. Okay. Well, I guess we'll just hop into the pot question.
Yeah.
Thank God it didn't just stop.
Yeah. When I saw that warning message, I was like, oh no.
Did we lose like 2 hours of talking? Okay, well, we'll just fast forward to the pot questions.
Yes.
Because neither of us have been responsible and gotten new sticky notes to put inside of the pot.
I was supposed to buy some. I forgot.
It's still here. Don't worry. We'll just read them off of Google Drive. Remember that you can submit questions for the pot, and next week we'll be back to...
We will surely have the sticky notes.
We'll be reading the cards. Okay, do you think we'll see a new Master Rule update or summoning mechanic introduced in the next year or two? And if so, what kind of changes or new mechanics would you like to see in the game?
So in the next year or two, I guess possibly the next 2 years. That sounds realistic. Do I want it? No.
Legitimately found that it's not. Like, I think that they're actively avoiding it. Because you think about, like, okay, we got the last major Master Rule in 2017, if you can believe that. Then in 2020, we got like a revision to that Master Rule. But that wasn't a new Master Rule, it's just kind of a revision, kind of changed some things back, right? Like where you don't have to use the link monsters, the extra monster zone stuff for other things, except for pendulums. I think that in 2023, that's like when we would have maybe naturally gotten the next one. And Konami just realizes this game's kind of, it's a bit much right now. Like we kind of don't have our shit together in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. And I think that, frankly, I don't know that we like need a big new summoning type or...
I don't think so either.
The game's very bloated.
But I think we can both agree that it's hard to imagine Yu-Gi-Oh making it another 25 years
without.
So at some point, I think they will introduce something to shake the game up again.
Well, if we go by the schedule that we have that we've established, then 2026 perhaps would be like when we get a new Master Rule. Mm-hmm. It could happen sooner. I mean, it's just like a lot of things are changing with Yu-Gi-Oh. Like they might be more willing to just introduce something now. But if they did, what would you like to see?
Nothing. Oh, I know. Hard
something.
Reboot. The new Master Rule
is a hard
caps.
Reboot.
It just caps the game off.
You're not alone in that. As for me, I would like to see. I know like people want like grand changes. I want like let's patch up some of the shit. Like, you know, and by that I mean stuff like missing the timing. I would like to see that kind of just not a thing anymore. I'd like to see like universal hard once per turn. Like everything just has a hard once per turn. Like it's just a mechanic of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like stuff like that. I know someone's gonna be like, oh, but what about this thing? I get it. That's Konami's problem to figure out. So like, you know, that sort of thing just kind of make the game a little bit more even across the board. But to make the question fun, if I had to imagine some sort of a change, maybe there's a summoning mechanic where you either banish the cards face down so they can't be abused later, or maybe you shuffle them back into the deck, although they've already done that with some types of contact fusion. So
that is a thing, yeah.
And tier cards are fusing by shuffling into the deck. So anything from you? I mean, I
said my piece.
You want a reboot?
Reboot, or it's not really a master rule, but they go ahead and unban all the cards and they introduce Rush Duels, and that gets a master rule.
And that gets a master. Okay, yeah. Some people really want that. People really think that like Speed Duel potentially ending means Rush Duel will come out, and I'm just not sure if I believe that.
It's as the kids say, copium. That's copium. And you know,
yeah, you're willing to do such a thing as well. Do you think what is the MTG Jumpstart Booster? Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think a product like MTG's Jumpstart Booster with exclusive mini archetypes would work in Yu-Gi-Oh! And appeal to new or returning players? From Benjamin.
So a quick description. A quick description of how the Jumpstart Boosters work. Essentially, it's a sealed play kit.
Okay.
Where you get a group of friends together. You essentially draft it out. And there's like strategies built within it, so you can all have kind of a good time playing mini Magic.
It sounds like a Speed Duel box.
Exactly. Except probably a little bit. I think the jump starts are a bit better made. That's not a shot at Speed Duels. They there's more nuance to those because they're meant to be something that you can play again and again and again. No one ever does, but you can.
Is that kind of a repeatable thing? I mean, Speed Duel is supposed to be like that too. So,
but Speed Duels doesn't have a like a format to it. It just kind of says, here are the skills, here are the cards. We have some quick ideas of how you can play. Good luck.
So the Magic ones are more.
It's more structured.
Okay.
There's more rules to it.
I mean, so I think that would be fun then. I would like to see like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Thing where basically you're given 4 kind of archetypes of, like, here's what you do. Make it branded themed, right? So you get like 4 archetypes or 4 people, or maybe it's just 2, and it's like Sword Soul, Tri Brigade, Spriggan, and Despia or something. I don't know, or Ice Jade. And so basically it's like 4 of those, and they're like pre-made. So it's like you get kind of a more high power level sort of modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Thing, but maybe it's still...
So it'd be interesting because like with Jumpstarts it's drafted. I don't know if we could necessarily pull off a drafted product like that.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Has had a tough time with drafting.
Not
lately.
Modern Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Can't drafted. So I mean, are we really just saying bring back battle packs?
I mean, I'm saying that.
I agree with that. Next question. So what do you guys think about a format where you can only use 1 banned card in your deck? How would this impact deck building? So basically, you get to build your deck, but you're allowed 1 banned card. I mean, I just think the power level just increases.
I think it's crazy. Yeah, I don't think that actually would be that bad. I just think the power level would increase by quite a bit.
I suppose there'd be 2 realities. The first is that, like, if you are playing a obnoxious gimmick, like, you'll add in a banned obnoxious card to, like, you know, the one Starving Venom Dragon that like, could copy the effects and do the burn.
Oh, yeah, the good
one.
You'll
add that. Or you'll add like Arch Nemesis Protos back into your deck.
Oh,
or like, you know, it'll be
never mind. I hate
you'll
this.
You'll add Masterpiece
and VFD.
And for everybody else, you'll just throw in like I guess a Pot of Greed.
Yeah,
just call it a day.
Call it a day.
Graceful
Charity.
Yeah, or Graceful Charity for some decks like a Dark World, Tier Elements, those sorts.
Ooh,
of
I want
decks.
to play Delinquent Duo.
That too. So what I was gonna say is like. The alternative, I suppose, is I miss traditional format. If anybody remembers what that is, it's like where all cards that were banned are now at 1. And they actually used to do that. Like at the Books a Million I went to, that was a format that they would play. It's broken. It's not really fair. Like banned cards are banned for a reason.
And you can run them all.
But it'd be neat to see. I mean, in a world where we're trying, like, there's more conversation about potential other formats for people to play. It's like. It's easy enough.
Someone in the comments, let me know what's the best deck in traditional format. What's the traditional meta?
I think there's a YouTube channel that actually did that. Like I think that there's like maybe it was Lithium or something. I know he does like those cross ban list cups.
Yeah.
But there was like a channel that was like, what if traditional format was like a thing? What would be the best deck? So okay, and the final question is what is a new or existing card game that you hope becomes more popular? So kind of a card game that just came out or whatever, or is fairly new, and you hope that it becomes more popular. What is your answer, Alec?
Digimon.
I don't think that's a reasonable answer.
Yes, it is.
I suppose so, but pick a different one.
Digimon.
Okay, let's tell us about Digimon. Give us a spill.
So the Digimon card game is a game where you get to
We
be
get it.
the
Why do you want that to be more popular?
Wow.
The game that's already reasonably popular.
No, it deserves to be like top 3 in the card gaming space.
Okay.
Because it's the most interactive, non-interactive card game I've ever played. Your turn directly influences exactly how much energy your opponent has on their turn. You're constantly swinging the pendulum back and forth. The bigger the play you make, the bigger the play they make in response. I find it so much fun. It's so engaging, and we only have one type of hand trap, and it's not that bad.
What you're really saying is you just hate One Piece because it stole your glory. That's what they say anyway. They say One Piece kind of stole Digimon's glory.
We got robbed, but I don't blame One Piece. I blame Bandai.
Okay, well, if you had to pick a different one, if you had to pick something that's like really new or... Okay, well, I've got one. My money's going to be on Grand Archive. From the one time that I played it. No, but it's a neat game. Like, I thought that the... What is that, their extra deck called? The Regalia items.
No, thank God. I was like, I don't remember.
Yeah, no, I thought that was like a unique thing. It felt like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Extra deck, but not spammable. So.
All right, since you want to be honest with this answer, I'll be honest too. Battle Spirits.
Battle Spirits.
I think Battle Spirits is the best card game that's come out in the last decade.
Really?
I honestly think the Battle Spirits
overall.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the Battle Spirits like game system is better than all of them. I think it's engaging. I think it's deep. I think it's interesting. I think it came out at a horrible time and will not see another 5 years in the States.
Yeah, I just don't hear anything about it anymore.
Yeah, it was essentially dead on arrival. It's a shame.
Well, my money is with Grand Archive. I also like its artwork. It's very vibrant and it's kind of generic fantasy artwork, but it's very vibrant and cool, and it's not, to my knowledge, AI generated. So that's always points for me. I think that all this conversation about this too, though, is a big part of why Rush Duel, probably why Konami is hesitant to bring Rush Duel out, because we're in a time period where there's just so many card games.
So many. They're probably right not to bring it out right now.
Yeah, like I just think it would struggle to, like, we're not kind of in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi Mania anymore. Mm-hmm. There's not like a main, like the anime is not, kind of this pop culture phenomenon. And so as a result, I think that like Rush Duel might just come out and be swept with everything else.
Even in Japan, we went to many different card shops. Rush Duel always had a smaller section than every other card game.
Yeah, not that I do not like Rush Duel, but just that I think that it's releasing it in 2024 would be a lot harder than releasing Yu-Gi-Oh! Was in like 2002.
Even a year, even like if we could have just got it out before Lorcana, maybe, but now I just don't know.
Yeah, now it feels rough. There's so much. Lorcana, One Piece, all that stuff. Well, anyways, that's the questions. If you guys have any more, make sure that you use the form down below to submit them to the Pot of Greed, which we'll actually pull from next week. Also, remember to check us out on Whatnot this weekend at 12 p.m. Central Time. Going to be auctioning off some really cool big stuff, including a giant Pot of Greed just like this one.
Its handle will be intact.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so it's telling us we've got 3 minutes left. Hopefully you enjoyed this week's episode of the Pot of Greed. The Pot of Greed. The Pot of Greed. I'm trying to say both words together.
I have to say it all at once.
Better. All right, cool. Anything else?
Nah, I think we'll see you guys in the next one.
Pass turn.